I am from the south side of Chicago.
That tells you as much about me as you need to know.
It was a typical working class community.
Some good music, some good barbecue, some good times.
Hi, Nadia.
Hey, Adela, how are you?
All good, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I would like to know, how was it meeting with former First Lady of the United States, the most popular woman in the world, I guess?
I mean, as you can imagine, it was an incredible experience meeting with Mrs. Obama for the first time. She's warm, kind, friendly, really works hard to make people feel comfortable. So it was quite an experience.
Your image or perception of her changed after being with her for such a long period of time, like 24/7?
It did, actually. Spending so much time with Mrs. Obama gave me an opportunity to deepen my understanding of who she is. One thing that stood out to me is her sense of humor. She's incredibly funny, and that's something that I never expected.
What would you like the audience to get out of this film, of this documentary?
This documentary is as much about the story of Mrs. Obama's life as it is about storytelling and community. And so I really hope something that people get from this film is the understanding that all of our stories are important, and the act of sharing stories is transformative, and how important it is for people to come together, which in this moment is very difficult, but I think it also shows how special it is to us.
What was your first encounter like? Do you know if there were any candidates to direct the film, the doc?
Well, I do know that they spoke to many people about the possibility of directing this film. But when I got an email after several phone calls. I got an email that said you're invited to the office of Michelle and Barack Obama, and it said the date. And there was a lot of anticipation leading up to that time. It was a few weeks. And I remember when I first walked into her office, it's like this beautifully lit, softly lit room, and Mrs. Obama was sitting in the far corner of the room. And, I walk in and she stands up, and she's very, very tall, and I'm not tall at all. So I was, sort of very surprised at that.
Huge.
She's huge, yeah. Compared to me, I'm very, very tiny. So, she stands up and we start walking towards each other and meet in the middle of the room. And I extend my hand for a handshake, and in my nervousness, our fingers got like all weirdly intertwined with each other. And I was like, oh, I'm messing this up already. And she was so wonderful. She was like, I'm a hugger. And she just gave me this big hug, and it totally relaxed me. And after that, we just sat down and, we had a very regular conversation. We talked about, where we're from and our moms. And it just felt like I was reconnecting with an old friend.
What did you talk about when you were off camera, for example, during all this tour?
Mm-hmm. We talked about, I think what's interesting is when we were together, we just talked about, she asked me a lot of questions about my life. She was very, interested in who I am and the type of work that I do, how long I've been doing it, my experiences as a filmmaker. And then we just kind of, talked about nothing a lot of times, but it was just always so fun. I think we developed a very nice friendship that it was just kind of when you hang out with a friend and you're not really always thinking about what you're talking about, but you're just flowing in conversation. And so that's a lot of what our time together was like. It was really nice.
How is now your relationship with her? I mean, did you become really close?
She's just a girl and she's on fire.
So little of who I am happened in those 8 years. So much more of who I was happened before.
in high school. Your guidance counselor didn't see in you what you saw in yourself.
Yeah. She decided I was reaching too high.
How did you, as a Black woman, persevere?
We can't afford to wait for the world to be equal, to start feeling seen. I feel like I gotta share with you all that the energy that's out there is much better than what we see. How's everybody doing?
This girl is on fire.
I think that, I think like most relationships, we of course don't speak every day or anything like that, but, I think we both have a very special place in each other's heart in a way.
A factor so that you were directing this? You think
absolutely.
so?
I think that's something that was important to her. I would say, but I don't know for sure. I think it was important to, it's important in general for, I think diverse voices to have an opportunity to tell stories and direct films and things like that. So I think it was, I'm sure that, knowing that Mrs. Obama loves to uplift people, and I can imagine that it was something that was important to her.
Very impressive what happens when Mrs. Obama meets with people and young people, right? Mm-hmm. It's very impressive what happens. It's like magic.
Absolutely. When Mrs. Obama, meets people, especially young people, there's just this tremendous energy that is unusual. I actually had never seen it before. And when I first witnessed it in filming her, I knew how special it was and how important it was to try to capture that energy for a film. How do you bring this energy, this feeling that's happening in a room to a screen? And so that was definitely a big goal for me.
Specific moments you decided not to include? Or were you asked, maybe you were asked to keep any moment out of the film?
There were no moments that we were asked to keep out of the film, but as in all films, we only had 90 minutes and we filmed with her quite a bit. So there were things we left out, we had to take out of the film that we loved. But in terms of storytelling and for the sake of time, there were just some moments that we had to cut out.
We all have of her that she's a very optimistic person. But were there moments when that perception might have been challenged, for example, like her fears, her regrets?
Yes. I think at the time when we were filming with her in particular, she was on her book tour. She was ready to go out into the world and tell her story. And she's quite optimistic, and that's something people really love about her. But she's also like a very practical individual who understands the world in a very complex and interesting way. So I think there are things that I think the film is its own way. It's just this emotional journey, So it's not all one note of optimism or things like that, and she does share a lot about her fears, and things that she has, not only her fears in the moment, but over the course of her life, or her doubts, I would say, that she's had either about herself or other situations.
Fine. So thank you. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Adela. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
As my mother would say, Michelle and Barack Obama aren't special. There are millions of Michelle and Barack Obamas all over the world. If we can open up a little bit more to each other and share our stories, that's what breaks down barriers.
Wow.
Girl who realizes that I have the power to change the world.
This is totally me, unplugged.
For the first time.